Hi, I'm Amory, and I'm here with the AMERIE'S book club selection for the month of October, which is Rejection by Tony Tulathimutte. Rejection is a collection of short stories in which the characters either know each other quite well, have either dated one another, or have otherwise encountered each other, say in a dating app or something like that. But it's really such a joy to move through each short story because the way that the story unfolds, like the greater story unfolds through these interconnected stories, is very satisfying. In the first story, for instance, we're introduced to a really nice, seemingly nice guy. He gets friend-zoned a lot. He's really nice, but he's almost too eager. He's just trying to have sex. He's just trying to find a friend, a girlfriend maybe, but he's consistently friend-zoned and he can't figure out why. He also falls into the trap. This is my opinion. This is not the book saying this, so this is just my read on it. My opinion. He falls into the trap of doing the thing that a lot of guys will do, which they'll do the thing that women tell them to do and not the thing that women really want them to do. That's a whole other conversation. I'm sure each of you have your own theories regarding this. I'm sure it's come up a lot, even in personal conversations. He goes through a really hard time and you're starting to watch his descent into a very negative place. You see, obviously, of course, his self-esteem is going to be taking a hit, but just the way that he views the world. And what's really interesting is that you see what happens to him while you're introduced to him in the beginning. You see what happens to him through the other stories. I had the feeling that I was part of these various friend groups and I could feel myself commiserating with some of them through their ups and downs, and then hearing their take on someone else that I got to know very well. For instance, maybe a girl went on a date with a guy, but I was in his head for a while, and now I'm seeing like what she was thinking, and then I see like what some other guys were thinking about this particular person. In one sense, you really understand how we really have to give everyone grace. Like, you really should give everyone as much grace as possible, because it's only when you're really in their shoes that you get to really understand why they're seeing the world the way that they are. In another story, we meet a woman who's trying to navigate her way through dating, and she's having a really hard time. But the interesting thing about it is we've already heard about her through someone else. This is what I meant by, like, it feels like these people are your friends, because you really do feel like you're sitting in the corner booth, or you're sitting like in the living room talking with them when they're having all these discussions or these experiences. So when we do meet someone else, it very much is the feeling like, oh, you're that person. Oh, okay. And then you get to you see the world through their eyes and see where they're coming from, and it's so important to do that. So the stories continue that way. They are all hilarious. So, okay, I guess I should have said this at the beginning. This is not a book to share with the kids. Like, if you ever read a good book and you're like, oh yeah, this is for my teen, I'll pass it. No, this is not for them. I love the cover, but the cover could have easily been a like not suitable for work type of cover. Sometimes I did wonder, is this gratuitous? Is this gratuitous? But at the end of the day, I felt it wasn't, because it was very much, like what I'm talking about specifically was very much in line with the character and the overall part of the theme of the collection. And everything comes back around, and there's almost like a situation in which we have in this story, like a story nested within the greater story. So it's very meta. It's like meta twice. You'll have to read it to know what I mean. This collection is brilliant, from relationships to sex to friendship to identity to self-esteem to life in the age of the internet. There's actually one quote I really like. I have to switch books. So I usually get an advanced reader's copy, paperback, and or the digital copy, and then at some point I'll get the final version. Which I love. But here's the thing. When the final cover is not ready, or the final hardcover is not ready, and I've been reading out the paperback, I get attached to the paperback. So even though it's not like the gorgeous, hardcover, the paperback is like, this is what I lived with. This is the version I lived with. This is the one that has like all the writing in it, the dog ears, the highlights. So I can't actually get rid of this one. And usually what I end up doing is I gift the hardcover. I know a couple of people I'll add to their libraries with a hardcover. Sometimes I will keep the hardcover for myself if I'm not super attached to the paperback, depending. However, this is one of the ones where it's like, I'm going to just have to save the paperback. In a real community, bonds are hard to dissolve and antagonisms must be sustained. There's continuity and unavoidable neighbors. The internet is millions of solitudes blinking in and out of existence, each dreaming the others, where consensus reality is less an agreed upon reality than a reality made of agreement. With the identity, it's the same. This idea that a checkbox on a form is a service tunnel to a stranger's soul. people will always fall for it. And it goes on to say that discourse is loneliness disguised as war. In reality, the internet will make of you whatever it wants, and beneath every mask is another mask mistaken for a face. Beneath the story, the greater story, there's another story, and beneath that, there's another story. And of course, everything that's written there about the internet, I found to be so poignant. Especially the internet is millions of solitudes, which goes into the whole thing of like whether we are more or less lonely in the age of the internet, when people have so much connection and they're able to make friends, make internet friends, see what everyone else is doing. And are we in the end, in fact, just millions of solitudes? Definitely a lot to think about in this hilarious short story collection. This is the paperback now that I'm holding for you. Make sure you follow along. I'll hold the pretty one. Actually, they're both really gorgeous. It's just this is the finished one. It has the texture. I am that person who's like, I just have to breathe in the books. Like, I just love the feel of them, the sound of them, the touch of them, all of that. But you already know that. So make sure you pick up your copy of the book and join us for the read. Join Tony Tulathimutte and I at the end of the month when we'll be discussing the book. Also follow along with the hashtags, hashtag read with Amory, hashtag Amory's Book Club. Follow the Amory's Book Club IG at Amory's Book Club. And in the meantime, happy reading. This just has a nice texture. See, some people don't pay attention to these things, but if you're like a bookish person, you pay attention to like the way that books feel. You know, like this cover, it's kind of grainy, so it's really beautiful. Let me see if I can really show you how. There's like a gradient on here, so artistically it's just really gorgeous. And hey, it matches my nail polish, which is this chrome. I've got chrome because I like pearls, so it's like that thing going on. But it's very grainy, so there's a lot of texture here with the raised text. And the paperback is the same, but it's different because it's, you know, traditional paperback and glossy. I like velvet covers as well. If you've ever gotten soft touch covers, soft touch covers are cute too. However, if you're somebody who is always lotioning your hands, like me, then every time you touch one of those soft covers, you see like basically lotion, like oil on your covers. And some people might not mind, but that drives me nuts. Like I will literally be like with my shirt, like I'll touch the book and be like this. Finally, I gave up. I gave up doing that. But yeah, it's nerd problems.